40 years is how long some of us had to wait to witness a Warriors championship. And for those of us that weren't around to see the Warriors take down the ship in 1975, I could tell you right now, that was a pretty long time ago. Personally, I thought it was kind of nice actually. And as someone who lives in the Bay Area, I've always naturally had no choice but to be a Warriors fan. And it slowly turned into having something to look forward to every June when the Warriors would inevitably have a deep playoff run. All the family gatherings and parties, it was kind of turning into a holiday for us in this area. And to be honest, I think we all just kind of thought that was how it was going to be forever. Until this last season happened, and the reality set in. Potentially one of the best franchises in NBA history, the Splash Bros, Warrior Nation, Dub Nation, it may have all come to a screeching halt, and maybe even permanently. Well, okay, there's actually a silver lining, and it's possible we still could have a few more golden years, no pun intended. But let's get into that in a second. It was an era-defining run of absolute dominance with 3 titles and 5 consecutive finals appearances from 2015 to 2019. That, in the course of months, turned into one of the worst performing teams in NBA history, finishing with a .25 winning percentage. The Warriors finished at a league worst of 15-50. Only 7 teams in NBA history have declined by more than 30 wins from one season to the next, and only 2 teams have declined by 40. The Warriors would win 42 fewer games in their 2019-2020 season, a scenario that is reminiscent of the 1990s Bulls, a team that would define that whole decade. They went from 62 wins in 1998 to just 13 in 1999, and wouldn't have another winning season for nearly a decade. It's a scary thought for Warriors fans, but I wouldn't get too frightened by the thought of that just yet, because the Bulls did lose Michael Jordan that same year, a parallel that doesn't exist in our scenario. There's no doubt about it. The Warriors have had a historically terrible year, but how surprised can any of us really be though? It was literally a different team. The Warriors would play most of their season with a practically unrecognizable lineup. Basketball Reference would note just 21% of the Warriors' minutes this season have been played by players who were on the team last season. Most of those played by Draymond. Although obviously this was never to come as too big of a surprise, we all knew they lost Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston, and Kevin Durant before the season even started. We also knew Klay Thompson wouldn't even be playing, and the Warriors would have to utilize players like Eric Pascal, the 41st overall pick in the 2019 draft, Jordan Poole, who is generally considered a questionable pick at 28th overall that same draft. They would play Alen Smailagic, the Serbian 19-year-old who would spend a considerable amount of time in the G League. I mean, these guys ended up getting serious minutes and they were complete rookies. But even still, before the season started, even the biggest critics were still uneasy to rule out the Warriors. With Stephen Curry and Draymond healthy, and the addition of D'Angelo Russell and Marquise Chris, a winning season still seemed very possible. But long story short, Curry breaks his hand very early in the season. Green was supposed to step up, but he would go from a 49% field goal and 38% three-point percentage last season and drop over 10% on both this season. Then there was D'Lo, who got a max deal from the Warriors, which was questionable from the start, mainly because there wasn't an obvious fit with him on the team. It didn't pan out, and it was widely reported that by February, the Warriors were eager to get rid of him, which is reinforced by them embracing a player who was on what was widely considered to be one of the worst contracts in the league, Andrew Wiggins. It ended up being a disaster of a season for the Warriors, but there was definitely quite a few lessons to be learned from. And I think there still is a good chance the Warriors bounce back in 2021. And let me explain. Andrew Wiggins was a very controversial pickup for the Warriors, but he would turn out, in my opinion, to show a lot of promise. He played just 12 games and averaged 19.2 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 3.4 assists. His teammates had good things to say about him and would describe him as being quiet and reserved. And the Warriors org, specifically assistant coach Ron Adams, was also happy about him because he played great defense, averaging 1.3 steals in those 12 games, something his predecessor D'Lo received a lot of criticism from not doing. Wiggins also played surprisingly well with Steph Curry in his first game back. He appeared to fit the dynamic smoothly and, in my opinion, will have no problem molding into any role the Warriors see fit. I actually made an entire video on this exact topic. You can check it out here. In that video, I also noted that Steph Curry, even after breaking his hand and drawing in a lot of concern as to if his shot will ever be the same, he played just how we remember him. It was nostalgic. He and Klay Thompson could also easily be in the midst of their prime, and I think at the very least, we could expect a few more great seasons from the two. We also learned from this season that the Warriors also have a bright and young roster. We saw a lot of fresh talent this last year step up and play a lot of minutes they probably weren't ready for. And that's okay. It showed us the Warriors are deep. Eric Pascal is someone who I could definitely see playing serious minutes when things return back to normal. I can also see the same being true for Marquise Chris, who stood out this past year. While it is possible the Warriors add a great young player with their top draft selection, in theory, they could also use it with the trade to grab someone that could also put them over the top. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about the dream scenario and Giannis. And then, finally, there's all the reasons that the Warriors, especially the big three, have to ball out this season. There's a big question as to if the Warriors dynasty is behind us, and I'm pretty sure Golden State isn't a fan of that question. They have their championship core, they're going to be healthy, they have new players, young players, a top draft selection, they have the fans. Really, I don't see any reason anyone should doubt a Warriors return. Yo, what is up guys? It's Andre, thanks for watching. We've spent the last few weeks opening up a brand new facility in Santa Cruz, California, so it's been busy. Stay tuned because in the next video, we're gonna explain everything. If you haven't already, subscribe from your favorite 50,000 subscriber hopefuls, Courtical Hoops. See you on the next one.